guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a tutorial on this look right here. It is a blue metallic smoky eye, and I've been wanting to do this video forever, ever since we had Big Little for my sorority. It is what I wore on my eyes, and I had so many questions about what I was wearing. So I figured that I would make a tutorial about this look, and if you guys want to see how I got this look, then just keep on watching. So one of my eyes is really irritated. I was playing around with some shadow last night and doing some different looks to see what I wanted to film today, and it kind of irritated my eye, so it is a little red right now, but we're just going to ignore that. I'm going to go ahead and do my brows. So I'm going to go in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Definer. It looks like this, and I use it in the shade Taupe. And I'm just going to fill in my brows and then carve them out with some Tarte Shape Tape and a flat concealer brush. So next I'm going to take my Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Fair Neutral, and I'm just going to carve out my brows. And to do that, I'm just going to use the Morphe 432 brush. It's just a flat definer brush. I'm just going to carve them out a little bit. Make them a little bit more defined. And I do drag the concealer down because it is what I prime my eyes with before going in with eyeshadow, so it really doesn't matter. I'm just taking my Sigma 3D HD Precision Brush just to blend that out all the way. Going back in with that Sigma brush and blending it all down. I will put some more concealer on in a little bit. Alright, so I did go ahead and prime my eyes already, so I'm going to go in with a little bit of Scotch tape. I'm just going to put it at the corner of my eyes right here just to give it a nice sharp and defined look. So now that that tape is on, I'm going to go in with the Morphe E30 brush. And I'm just going to take a little bit of my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. This is just the shade Bronzer. I'm going to take a little bit of that on my brush and tap the excess off, and I am just going to go right in and use this as my crease color, just lightly buffing it into the crease. This look is very easy, and it takes minimal products. I literally only use a couple shades on the eye, so it's very easy to get, and you can always of course use whatever you have at home or whatever is in your makeup kit, but I am just using some of the things that I have. I like cooler tone shades for this part, so I'm using some of this bronzer, and then later on I will use some of my contouring powders, but I just think the cooler tone works best with the blue metallic color that I'm going to be using later, so that is why I am using these shades instead of like using my Jaclyn Hill palette or my James Charles palette from Morphe. I just think these are more cool tone shades that complement the blue better. Alright, so once that is all blended, I'm actually going to go into my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, and I'm actually going to go into some of the lightest shade right here. I believe this is called Subconscious, and I'm just going to buff that into the crease as well, just a little bit lower this time, keeping it more controlled in the crease instead of up. So I'm just taking some of that, and I'm going to place it just a little bit lower, still on that same brush. Alright, so now that that part is completed, I'm going to go in with my Morphe 443 brush. So now I'm going to go back into my Kat Von D palette and go into this darkest shade. It is called Sombre, I believe that's how you pronounce it. I am just going to put that on the outer V of my lid just to deepen it up just a little bit. But just taking it on the outer V, and blending it all together. It honestly looks so much darker on my face and off of camera, but just taking that up and blending it very, very gently and softly using a very, very, very soft hand. Just adding a little bit more. It's much easier to pack it on first and then blend out, just so you can kind of stamp the color where you want it and then blend it out later. It gives the most pigment where you stamp it at, so using that technique will help you in the blending process, definitely. Next I'm going to go in with the Morphe M330. It's just a kind of tapered blending brush. And I am just going to blend out those edges, make sure everything is nice and seamless. Next I'm going to go back in with my Tarte Shape Tape to cut the crease. I'm going to be doing that with my Morphe M224 brush. This is just a flat packing brush. Alright, so I think I'm only going to go about halfway to cut the crease because I'm going to blend some shadow into it later on. Next, I'm actually going to go into my Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm going to be using this shade right here. I have no clue what the shade name is for this one. I don't have the packaging anymore that tells what the shade names are, so I'm just going to go in with this purpley blue shade right here and set this on the lid just to give the metallic liquid shadow something to stick to and adhere to. It'll just make it pop a little bit more. So just taking that on a flat, dense packing brush. Next, I'm just going to go in with the Milani Hypnotic Light Holographic Eye Topper in the shade Prismatic Light. And it's a very, very pretty shade. And I'm just going to put that on top. I'm actually going to go back in with some of that shade that I just went in with, just to kind of set it a little bit, since it is a liquid shadow, and I just want to set it to be sure that it doesn't go anywhere. Alright, so now that this eye is finished, I'm going to go off camera and finish this eye real quick, and I will be right back. Alright, so now that that part is finished, I'm going to apply some mascara and some false lashes. So first I'm going to go in with this Lancome Monsieur Big. I believe it's just a sample size, but it does wonder for my lashes. I'm just going to apply that. I know it looks a little bit crazy on camera, but as soon as I put lashes and have a full face of foundation and all that good stuff on, I feel like it is going to come together completely. Right, so now I'm just going to apply some lashes. I'm going to be using the House of Lashes Iconics. These are like my go-to lash. They're nice and dramatic. Just going to put some of my Tarteist Pro lash glue on them. Okay, so now that both lashes are on, I'm going to start on the face and then I will finish up the eyes later on when all of that is done. But I'm going to be using for primer today the Tarte Base Tape primer. I have never tried this before, but you can't even see it. But I did get it in a sample the other day when I bought some Tarte Shape Tape concealer. So I'm going to try it out. It says that it is a hydrating primer, which I do have oily skin, so I'm not sure how this is going to work. But we are just going to try it out and see how it does. I have been using the Too Faced Hangover RX primer, and I just know that it is not good for oily skin, especially my oily skin. I think it just causes makeup to break up really bad and just does not work well. So I'm curious to see how this hydrating primer works, because that one is also a hydrating primer. But I am going to try it out today and see how it works. I think I really need to get a matte primer. I was using the Too Faced Sweet Peach, I think it's called, mattifying primer, but I ran out and I just haven't repurchased it yet. But if you guys do know of a good matte primer, please put it down below, because I am looking for suggestions. I've been wanting to try the Becca Ever Matte Poreless, I believe that it's called, but I have not been able to pick it up, and I have to go to Sephora, which is about 30 to 40 minutes away, like Ulta is. They're all in the same shopping center, so I never really get to go there, and I really don't want to have to pay shipping. When I go home, I can just stop and get it, so I think I'm going to do that the next time that I do go home. So for foundation today, I'm going to go in with the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation. I am in the shade 01A Creamy Nude, and it is actually a pretty good match. I have noticed that this foundation does oxidize just a little bit, but for a drugstore foundation it doesn't really bother me that much because I can line it up with concealer a little bit. But I'm going to take my Morphe sponge. I do have the other sponge. It has like the flat top. It does have like a chisel kind of edge to be able to bake really well, but I don't like that one as well as this one. I think it dried my skin out too much and it didn't apply foundation as well as this one does, because this one is a lot more dense. So I'm just going to stick to using this one. I really need to order a new one because this one has tears and rips and is discolored and all of that, because I've had it for so long, but I really need to get a new one. But I am just going to dot that all over and blend it in. This eyeshadow does look a lot better once you get a full face on. I know it looks a little crazy whenever you don't have anything else on, just because it is such a bright pop of color on such a flat base, but now that I have something on, I think it looks a lot better. I've also been having some problems with my smile lines breaking up and like really setting in right here, because I am very expressive when I talk and I do smile quite a bit. I do kind of have a dimple right here, and it is so hard to keep from setting in for some reason. I'm not quite sure what to do about it, but I have been looking at videos on YouTube and looking online to try to fix it, because it does drive me crazy throughout the day. I hate seeing it stick to one place and just look really gross and not good. So next I'm going to go back in with my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Fair Neutral once again, and highlight underneath my eyes, my chin, my cupid's bow, down my nose, I have tried so many other concealers, and I have to say this one takes the cake for sure. This is like the best concealer I've ever used, and I have been trying lately to put it around my smile lines to see if that will help. I've seen some people do this online, and I thought maybe it might be a good idea to try it and see if it helps out any. Looks crazy, I know. I know that on my eyes this concealer sets down really fast, but I feel like on my face it is not as bad. And it gives me a little bit of time to work the product in and just make it as full coverage as I want it to be. And I am kind of using that little edge to clean up my eyeshadow liner. I am going to have to go in with a brush on my inner corner just so that I don't smear that blue color anywhere. I don't want to mess up all of the hard work that I've done. So I am going to take a little brush and go in there and see if I can blend that out. I'm just going to go back in with my Sigma brush and see if I can't blend that out a little bit. This is kind of like a beauty blender on a stick, kind of. It works really well to blend eyeshadow primer out and concealer out. So that is what I use it for. So next I'm going to set my face. I have heard Nikki tutorials rave about this setting powder. It is the Maybelline Fit Me setting powder, and I am using the shade Fair Light. I really need the shade lighter than this to highlight my under eyes, but I do just use this for now until I buy another one. But I do like it for sitting all over the face, and I do make sure that I go back in with my sponge before I set my under eye just to make sure that there are no creases, because this concealer does crease quite a bit, but I mean it's not really a problem since I am able to go back in and blend it out. I don't really have a problem with it. It just needs blended back out before you go in with powder. But I am just going to take the powder on a little powder puff. I bought these off of Amazon, super cheap, but I like to dip it in the powder and just go in and set the eye. I'm actually going to take my Coty Airspun to set the rest of my face. I do like this because it is sort of a banana color. It does kind of highlight. So this one is, I'm almost out of the Coty Airspun, but this one does set my face really well. And I want to use it to set where my smile lines are, because I know that it works, and I've just been trying out the Fit Me powder, and I know that this one does set really well. We're waiting for all of that to set in and bake. I'm going to go in on my lower lash line. I'm going to go in with a pencil brush. This is the Morphe M431. This is what it looks like. But I am just going to go back into my Kat Von D palette right here and go into the middle shade and just smoke that out on my lower lash line. Next I'm going to go in with that darker shade in the Kat Von D palette. It's the, I guess, the dark-ish shade. I'm just going to put it on the outer V and smoke it out just a little bit. So next I'm just going to take the Morphe 562 brush, and I'm just going to blend that a little bit. Next I'm just going to apply some lower lash mascara. I use the Great Lash by Maybelline. It just has a really nice brush to get all of my little teeny tiny bottom lash hairs. Next, I'm going to be taking the Maybelline Lasting Drama Waterproof Gel Pencil. I'm going to be putting that in the waterline of my eyes, on my lower lash line, just to make this pop. Now I'm just going to dust away that bake. I use the MUA Professional Makeup Academy stippling brush. You can get it at CVS. It's an awesome brush to use, but I'm just going to dust the bake away with this brush. Next, I'm going to go in with my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette and go in with this very well used and well loved shade right here. The shade is called Subconscious, and I'm going to go in with my Real Techniques brush. This is called a sculpting brush, but I use it as my contour brush. I'm just going to pick up some of that lightest shade and tap off the excess. Next, I'm going back in with my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and I am taking it on the Morphe E5 brush. This is a fan brush, and just taking some of that product, and I'm going to start warming up my face so I don't look as ghastly. Next, I'm going to go in with blush. This is the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush in the shade Party. I'm just going to be taking it on my Morphe E48 brush and tapping off the excess because I don't want too much. Alright, so next for highlight, I'm going to go in with my Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops. This is in the shade Moonlight. And I'm just going to put a little teeny tiny bit on my sponge that I use for foundation. Just a couple little drops. And I like to start just by dabbing a little bit out first. Ooh, look at that. And then I kind of just blend it all out with my sponge. I do like to switch it over to the foundation side that I use just to blend it out a little bit more. I do want to add a little bit more blush because it went down a little bit far for me. It's not normally where I keep my highlight. Alright, so after going in with my Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops, I'm now going to go in with the Milani Strobe Light Highlighter. This is in the shade Afterglow, and it is a little bit light for me right now, so I'm going to mix it with that and see if it works. I'm going to take the brush I used earlier and just blend it out. It is looking a little bit white for me, so I actually am going to go in with some of my Champagne Pop by Becca and Jaclyn Hill and just do a light dusting of that over top just to give it a little bit of warmth. I'm going to go back in with the Fit Me powder and kind of clean up my contour area and just make it a little bit sharper and more defined. I'm actually going to go in with a pencil brush and just highlight the tip of my nose. I'm just going to go into my James Charles palette and take the white shade that is called Flashback, and I'm actually going to put this in the inner corner of my eye to highlight. I'm just going to dust away the bake I have going on under my chin and down in my contour area. And I actually don't use any setting spray. I was using the Morphe Prep and Set, but I am all out. So I have just been kind of winging it and letting my face go throughout the day. I'm not sure that any of the setting sprays that I've been using have actually been doing anything for my face or the longevity of my makeup. So I'm not sure that it really matters that I'm not using one, but I would like to do a kind of test to see if it does help or if it does not help my oily skin and the breakup of my makeup throughout the day. Next, I am just going to take my Essence Soft Contouring Lip Liner in the shade Big Proposal, and I'm going to align my lips to put on some lipstick. So next, now that my lips are lined, I'm going to go into my ColourPop Ultra Matte Lipstick in the shade Aquarius 2. I believe this is the Kathleen Lights collection, and I'm just going to apply that over top of my lips. So now that I'm looking, I feel like my under eyes need a little bit more of a pop, so I'm actually going to smoke out a black shade, just a little bit of a black shade on my lower lash line, just to give it a little bit more of a smoky effect. And to finish, I'm going to go in with a little bit of my Morphe lip gloss in the shade Froze, and I'm just going to put that in the middle of my lips and dab it out with my finger. Alright, I am going to go do my hair and I will be right back. Alright guys, so here is the completed makeup look. If you enjoyed watching this tutorial, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on the post notifications. That way you're notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!